This is a TalkStation original podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Paper Boys podcast. I'm JJ Smith.
And I'm Zach Nally.
We're reporters with the Carteret County News-Times. In this episode, boys and girls, we will be going over our top 10 all-time game covers.
Now, to be clear, high school games, not
Right.
other moments, road races,
not the Marlins.
fishing tournaments, Marlins.
Right.
High school, student-athlete sports.
Absolutely. And also another distinction is these aren't necessarily the best games we've ever covered.
It's the ones that stick out in the memory the most.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of memory here, so forgive us if we miss some. We got 18 and a half years with JJ Smith, 12 and a half years with myself. It's a lot of memories.
Yeah.
And I think the coolest part about this is that there's not going to be any overlap.
Not really.
Because if I'm at a game, you're
Right.
not there.
Right.
And if you're at a game, I'm not there.
Right.
So we should cover quite a few bases here.
Absolutely. We should also make the distinction that because of, well, you just touched on it, because we've been here so long, there might be something that we miss that we're like, we just missed it because we're old.
Yeah, well, I mean, feel free to grab us and tell us we're idiots next time you see us that we missed.
I say that because I've done the top 10 games of the year
Yeah.
for the four past years.
Right.
And I sent you that list just to jog your memory in
Sure,
case there was something
sure.
on there. And there was one on there that definitely made my top 10, and I had not. It wasn't even in my honorable mentions.
Right, well, because,
And how I forgot that game is unbelievable to me.
well, again, I mean, if you go just 10 games a year for 18, that's a lot of games,
Yeah,
man.
how about it? Much less whatever we cover every year.
And I mean, and to be clear, like, this is not like, there are a lot of games that were important to the county,
Right.
but they may not be our top 10 games.
Perfect segue. Here's what we don't have. I don't think we don't have any mullet buckets
We don't have any mullet buckets.
because it's like you just said, an annual county rivalry game.
It's the best environment.
Oh my gosh, fantastic.
West-East basketball, West-East football.
But they just kind of bleed together.
Yeah, there's not a ton that were even the best game of the year.
Right. Well, and let's be honest.
It's early
in
in
the
this-
time I've been here and you've been here. There haven't been a lot of great mullet bucket
Well,
games.
they're early in the season, so like even the ones that are close are usually marred by penalties,
Oh, my gosh.
injuries. There's some
stopping for cramps.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah.
it's
People aren't clicking.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I think that's what makes the game so good though, is because no matter how each team looks on paper coming in,
Right.
throw it out,
Right.
because it might go the other way.
One team might play bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If we had to pick one, me and you would both probably pick 16, right? 2016.
This is the 14-13 game.
I thought it was 1916.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You're talking about Caleb King.
Yeah, that East
Yeah,
looked like they
yeah,
were going to roll.
yeah. Well, they had missed the first week because the game against Harold's Christian, the lights went out.
And
So they came in.
Blue.
That's right. So they had zero play.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know if there was like 30 or 40 penalties in that game.
Fumbles.
It was just a
But a huge upset by West.
oh man.
Yeah. And it's always fun at the end when they grab the bucket and they start painting
Absolutely,
it. And
absolutely.
They hold it up to the crowd and the crowd goes crazy.
And I mean, some of the best moments, and like you said, they just all kind of. It's hard to pick just one out of the
That's
out
right.
of the mess.
They just kind of combine into a big one mullet bucket.
What else don't we have?
We don't have West Carteret Croatan volleyball.
No, again, those are incredible matches. I mean,
Fantastic.
what percentage of them have gone 3-2? Do you think
It's got to be
80%?
Yeah, I was going to say 75.
Yeah, I mean, so again, really
Again,
hard to
they've just
pick
kind of-
just one.
Yeah, they've kind of become one. But
I almost picked one.
they're great atmospheres. You had one that was crazy.
I almost picked one.
You had one that was crazy.
Where the game was over 3-0
For like 10 seconds.
and then it wasn't.
And then the referee said, oh, by the way, no.
Uncle Mo
We're gonna keep it going.
switched it up there.
And the other team came back from down 2-0, right?
What a game.
Yeah. We don't have East-West boys basketball.
I have one in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
But that's because it's a sort of meta.
But those are fantastic. The
Again,
crowd is to the
unbelievable
rafters.
games. But
The
because
noise.
a lot of these top 10 games we're going to share our state championship, their playoffs,
That's
things
right.
are on the line.
That's right.
It's very rare to see a West-East matchup
Which is,
have
again,
anything on the
like
line.
the mullet bucket. It's one of the first 2 or 3 games of the year.
Yeah, and it's bragging rights.
That's right. From my side, I don't have any East Carteret, Pamlico boys or girls basketball.
Sure.
Those are just like East-West.
Sure.
Crowd is packed. I've gone to Bayboro tons of times to cover those because it's just across the river.
Now, let me ask you this. Croatan and West have been in the same conference for a little while.
Sure.
Do you have any Croatan West? I do not.
Do not.
So how about that?
How about that?
I got a Croatan East.
And there's been some really good games.
Sure.
Like we just mentioned volleyball. Tennis has been good.
Absolutely. Well, and there you brought up another point. There's not going to be any cross-country, tennis, golf. We are not there from start to finish. Track and field.
Right.
We're not there from start to finish for these events. So it's difficult to put those in a category like this.
Do we want to start with our honorable mention or leave those?
Yeah, you go ahead. You start us off.
I have 4. Number 14 for me is West Carteret Richlands football. That was in 2012. It was 52-44 in overtime.
Wow.
Trevor Festerman had
what a box score.
Had 350 all-purpose yards and 5 touchdowns.
Gosh.
He ran for 200. JoJo Grant ran for 200. It was insane.
Those are the games that you hate to write up necessarily because there's too much, but they're really fun in the moment.
That might be the best football game I've ever covered.
Oh, wow.
And didn't make the top 10. 52-44.
Oh, I got a football game at number 3.
Number 13 for me is East Carteret Tarboro football. That was the game that whoever won was going to the regional final.
Tough finish
tough
there.
Loss for the Mariners.
Tough finish.
Number 12 for me is Croatan Piedmont Wrestling. That was a state championship match.
Okay, did you go there?
Where
was that?
It was here.
Okay.
It was the duel. So
a state championship duel here?
Because the duels, they go east or west.
It was finals?
It was at Croatan.
Wow.
Yeah. At 41-30. So basically that's one match, really.
I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah. And then number 11 for me, which I think this is in your top 10, and if it is, you can go ahead and talk about it. We should say, how we're going to introduce our games is we're going to read the leads to our stories.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So number 11 for me, it was number 10, but then that game I just found that I really should have had my top 10, knocked it out of the top 10. West Carteret Chapel Hill Volleyball.
Yeah. Were we both there?
We were.
So was our fearless leader.
Even our boss was there, Mr. Lockwood Phillips.
It was a Saturday, I believe.
Was it?
Yeah.
That was night.
Okay, no, you're right. It was a Tuesday. Yeah. Okay, that's right. Regional semifinal.
Yeah, I think the winner
fourth
went
round.
To the regionals.
Yeah. Incredible game.
What number is that for you?
That makes it at number 7 for me. But we'll wait. We'll wait.
Okay. So here we go. Top 10 all-time game covers.
Oh, and hang on a second. I got my honorable mentions. So number. I only have 3 actually.
Okay.
Number 13 is the Croatan boys soccer 4-3 loss to Lee County on penalty kicks in 2021. I've never, and the reason that's on there is because I've never seen a group of kids sadder.
Oh wow!
Than that
made it memorable.
I mean, boys weeping. And rightfully so.
And that's the year after the state championship team?
So again, weird because of COVID. The 2021 state championship the 2020 state championship was played in 2021.
It was in the spring. Right.
So then several months later in November, they're back in the similar position.
Later.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it was penalty kicks, which are
brutal,
man. Tough way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, another one, number 12, number 12, West versus East basketball. This is kind of a strange one. December 6, 2013, East wins 63-55. This is a year where East went 31-1, West went 14-12. So very lopsided, but very close score.
Uh-huh.
It was the very first game I ever covered.
Aww.
And you have to understand, I had never been to a high school game ever at West Carteret.
Never went to a game when you were at
No, I didn't go. This high school Zach did not go to no games. No. And so I'm supposed to meet Nicholas Hall, a former reporter there. Uh-huh. And I walk in and I thought, is this, it was Duke, Carolina. It was
packed.
I mean,
the noise level.
The noise, the bands, and I thought, is every game like this? Newsflash, it is not.
I had the same exact experience in football, although I had been on the job for like 8 months. And the first football game I covered was the Mullet Bucket.
That's right.
I was like, oh my God.
This is going to be every Friday night, like the movie.
And literally the next weekend, I covered East Carteret. I think it was Eastern Wayne. And I pulled down down that road.
You thought the game had been canceled.
I thought it was at Eastern Wayne. There was nobody there. I was like, oh no, that is how it's going to be.
Different vibes.
Oh man.
So last one, number 11. Again, I'm going meta here. Croatan at Swansboro baseball, March 14th, 2020.
March 14th, 2020.
Right on the edge of the cliff.
Oh, wow. Everybody knows this is it.
Now, at that point, NCHSA had announced that we were going to go on a break. Most people had canceled their games for that evening.
Uh-huh.
Kudos to Croatan and Swansboro for meeting up. They had senior night for both teams.
Oh, bless.
It was the 4th game of the year.
Oh, man.
And it was like, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever go through a global pandemic again.
Let's hope not.
Hopefully not. But you felt even then that there was something pretty terrible on the horizon. And we didn't have sports for, 6 more months. Wow. Terrible.
Oh, my gosh. It was more than 6 months. I don't think we started
Well, this was
like
March. We started November with volleyball.
Yeah.
April, May, June, July, August, September. Okay, you're right. More like, say, 9 months.
Almost, gosh.
So it was
crazy times.
It was crazy times.
Oh, man. All right. Now, without further ado.
Yes, we're ready.
David Letterman, drum roll, please.
Now, do you want me to go first so that
Yes,
you can
sir.
end
You
with
go-
your
you-
number one?
you go
Okay.
first. Oh, well, I don't care. I can
Oh,
go first.
you care. Don't act like you don't care. I'm gonna start with a Croatan versus East baseball game. This is my number 10.
No, just read your lead. And
Okay.
that'll tell us.
Okay,
That'll tell
okay.
us what it is.
You're so much better at leads.
No.
My lead here: Friday was a night of extremes at Croatan and a season finale showdown with East
Are we going to
Carteret.
cringe at some of these leads?
We are. I think it's a terrible idea. But we're gonna go do it.
Okay, do it again.
Okay. Read it again?
Yeah.
Friday was a night of extremes at Croatan and a season finale showdown with East Carteret. Okay. That tells you everything you need to know, right?
Sure.
It tells you the sport. It doesn't. It was baseball. It was a 9-8 walk-off win by Croatan in a game where we spent the first 90 minutes waiting for the umpire to show up. And, this is June 12th, so graduation's already happened.
Oh, my gosh.
These kids have already graduated high school. We're just hanging out on a Friday night. I guess graduation would have been
What year is this?
2021.
Oh, so the weird.
This is where sports extended
The
into
weirdo.
late June.
Yeah, we were wrestling in June.
And I think we were all just grateful
Right.
to be out there.
Well, you said the other day.
I didn't mind waiting the 90 minutes. Normally I would have been like, I'm out of here if the ump ain't here.
the house.
Come on, yeah. Call me when old boy shows up. I mean, it ended up being, I think, 4 or 5 hours by the time we got
my
done.
gosh.
But it was a game where there was
Right.
back and forth. It was both teams' first extra inning contest of the season.
And it got feisty.
Yeah, they were up 8-2 in the 7th.
Oh, wow.
Croatan. And it seemed like they had won, and they hadn't, and there was.
They scored 7 runs in the ninth.
Yeah, it was
in the 7th. I mean.
Well, no, and then it goes into
into extras.
Into extras.
They tied it.
Yeah, so I think, even though it's a regular season game, both teams were going to the playoffs no matter what. It was one of those where you're just sitting around talking with parents, talking with coaches. You're chatting. You're sitting there. You're part of the community, and you're all just
the game
kind of
for itself. The game
100%, which is
Right.
rare
Plus,
for us.
we have sports again, like you said.
I think there was nothing that could have. I mean, Big Rock was the following Monday. We're busy as all get out. You're covering graduation probably that night, or I don't know how. No, they didn't have graduation.
Oh, because of COVID.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
okay.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But
I
it
think
was
they did,
just
like outdoor stuff. Didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. So it was just a weird time.
Yeah.
But
You're-
again, you
you're
were
just
just
like, I
happy
don't
to be
care.
out there.
Sports, and I'm just happy to be
And
here.
I'm gonna walk off win. Come on.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wow. Okay, here's my number 10. For the first time, keeping it in pandemic era, for the first time this season, more than 25 fans were allowed to watch a basketball game
Oh
at
my
East
God, I
Carteret.
forgot about that.
About 150 of them attended the 1A girls third-round playoff contest between the Mariners
Oh, this was a big game.
and Northside Pinetown after the governor's executive order eased coronavirus pandemic capacity restrictions. Those fans won't soon forget what they saw. Holding a 12-point lead early in the fourth quarter, East then had 6 of its 8 players on the roster foul out,
Oh, wow.
leaving just 2 players on the floor for the final 48.7 seconds in a 51-45 loss. So Northside won, went on to the regional final. East was leading, let's see, by 12 points with 6.5 minutes to go. And from the 6.5 minute mark in the fourth quarter with them up 12, Northside shot 32 free throws.
Gosh.
Talking about being there for a while. I think they ended up shooting 51 free throws that night.
Oh my
Northside.
gosh.
And East shot 18.
See, again, some of these games are going to be dirty. Some of these games are not.
And we should note, we have as many losses as we have wins for county
I think I
teams.
might have more losses.
Well, how many times have we had somebody in this studio and asked them what games they remember the most?
Oh, if you ask athletes, that's what they say.
It's the losses.
It's the losses.
Yeah. So Mr. Keith Bernauer was not a happy camper after that
I bet.
game. And that game got picked up by Fayetteville Observer wrote a story on
wow.
it. It got the ESPN
Gosh,
Radio
I remember this.
in Raleigh wrote a story about
How
it.
about
Because,
that?
I mean, when two players are on the floor, that's quite a
What
game.
a time.
That is quite a game. So, yeah, it got picked up by like 5 or 6 different folks. And, yeah, wild times. All right, Mr. Nally, number 9 for you.
Number 9, and you know what? I'm gonna take your lead and read the first couple sentences.
Okay.
The East Carteret football team got an up-close look on Friday at where the bar is set to reach a state championship
I know what game
game.
this is.
The Mariners, after dominating the 1A Coastal Plains Conference and cruising through the first 2 rounds of the 1AA playoffs to improve to 11-2, were pummeled 59-7 on the road at Wallace Rose Hill.
Again, these are not the best games we've covered.
These are the games that stick out. You know, it was still, for me, this was, what's the date here? This was
I think it's,
November 29, 2015. I'm basically 2 years into the job.
and I think this is safe to say, this is your introduction to big-time high school football.
It was. I mean, I don't think I'd seen anything with Havelock yet at that point. And it was also an introduction that,
and you're in Burgall.
as
You're not in Beaufort.
as
You're in Burgall.
as a former reporter, Macy O'Donnell, who still writes a column, Just Say It, for this paper, mentioned that there are times when you think that your hometown team is ready to take on the big guys, and unfortunately they are not.
Wallace Rose Hill.
I didn't understand.
And just the atmosphere, right?
Well, I mean, it was okay.
okay.
It was okay.
Bad.
No. It was just
The size of the players, the speed
they
of the
tore
players.
through our boys like they were made of paper. And I know that sounds insulting. Please understand that I had the utmost respect for that team. Brendan Lewis remains the best quarterback I think I've ever seen in person at the high school level.
Yeah,
The
talent
boys
team,
were
like-
tough. I mean, they cruised through the conference. They were 11-2.
And you probably thought, I might be covering a state championship football team here.
And it went so far the other way.
my
I mean, look,
gosh.
Jockey Brown was a receiver for this team.
What a slap in the face.
And it was just, and I had to sit there and watch it. You just
I
gotta.
don't think Jockey was on that team.
Was he not?
No.
I believe he was a
What year was
receiver.
that?
2015.
Oh, maybe he was.
Maybe he was. Maybe not.
No, I think 15 was his senior year.
Okay. So
Year
this
after
was
him.
So this was November.
But 15
Malik.
was-
I'm saying Malik Collins was here.
Yeah.
Dominic
Maceo.
Carter.
But Deshaun Johnson, was he on that team?
Let's see here. Yeah, Macy O'Donnell, Deshaun Johnson.
Oh, what
You're
a
right.
beast
You're
he
right.
was.
You're right. These were. I mean, this was a very good team, and
And you thought it was.
boy,
And they were, but not
I mean,
that.
leading rusher was Brendan Lewis,
Not
quarterback,
Wallace- not
who was
Wallace
not
Rose
known
Hill.
for being a wheelman.
I remember you texting me that night being like, it was early, or it was over early.
I'd never seen that before.
Right, because you had covered.
Yeah.
You know.
So that, I mean, it's a bummer, but it was an eye opener for me to understand my expectations going forward.
All right, number 9 for me. We both covered this game,
Uh-oh.
keeping it in the pandemic era again.
Tell me about it.
Actually, and you know what's funny? You wrote the story. I did.
Oh.
Because I was there to help with photos.
Okay. What game is this?
Because it's a big game.
You gonna read my lead?
And when it's a big game, you have to have 2 people there taking photos.
And it's not a mullet
And it
bucket.
was at home, so
we
didn't have to travel.
It's not volleyball.
The pursuit of a 3A state championship ended Tuesday night for the West Carteret boys basketball
Oh
team.
gosh.
The number
Is this the
6
COVID year?
The number 6 seeded Patriots fell to Northwood from Pittsburgh, 72-69 in overtime to cap their playoff run with an East Regional final berth. West finished the season 11-3 overall, with fans and players dressed in white while honoring previous head coach Craig McClanahan with a whiteout night. McClanahan died last June after a battle with cancer. A 14-point lead with a little over a minute left in the third quarter fell apart in the fourth as Northwood sank 6 3-pointers. The last one to tie the score 61-61 with 1:10 on the clock.
Yeah, this is the night where Allensworth was like 11 of 12 or something
Oh
from the
my
floor.
gosh!
He was on fire.
30-something points, 32, and I think he missed one shot.
Yeah.
And just the scene, there might have been 30 of us in that gym, 40 of us, 50.
It wasn't packed.
No, we were all 6 feet apart.
Right.
Players are wearing masks.
It's COVID. Yeah, they had
And
masks.
just like the game what was my number 10.
Yeah.
Basketball players are wearing masks.
It was
on the
pretty.
floors.
It was pretty wild.
And this West team came out of kind of nowhere.
Well, it was a shortened season, so you had an
Right.
opportunity to take advantage of a little bit, less opportunities to fail. I
And
suppose
it was a kind of a new team.
It was.
Ellensworth first year starting.
Yeah, who Mansfield told us, head coach Mark Mansfield told us
Right.
to a year in advance, well, I got for this kid, and we thought, okay, sure.
Yeah, all right.
And he was right.
And then, man, he was gangbusters.
I mean, this was Boy, what a game!
And they were headed to the West Carteret
what-
boys basketball was headed to the state championship game.
Again, I mean,
we're going to go cover a state champion
for football and boys basketball. It's so rare
the
here.
revenue sports.
Yeah, it's such a rare opportunity for us to get that, to be on the doorstep of it. What is it that stood out for you?
I've been doing this 18 and a half years, and I've covered 5 boys basketball regional finals. I mean, that's, like you said, it's rare.
Well, how many for the same team too?
Three for East and 2 for West. Yeah. It was just it was over. They had won it. They were going to the state championship game. West Carteret boys basketball.
How many of these games on our list are where the momentum just the other way?
And they just kept coming back, and West just could not stop that momentum. And that's Drake Powell, who was just drafted last night.
Oh, wow.
In the first round of the NBA draft,
Wow.
or 2 nights ago. I'm sorry. And Stevenson, Stevenson, who then transferred to Seaforth, and then went to Alabama. Now he's back and he's going to Carolina. So 2 Carolina players were on the floor that night. How about that? 2 Tar Heels, and West had them beat. I mean, it was over. I'm sure Mark Mansfield and those players will think about that game till the day they are going from this mortal coil.
Oh my gosh!
Just a tough loss, man. And me and you just there like, oh, what did we just see? What just happened? We thought we were going to go to Chapel Hill, I think, or State, wherever the game was, cover a state championship, and it was over.
Yeah, because at that point we would have gone together.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
With COVID yeah.
Again, just so happy to be out there.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I wonder how many. I'm looking at
that is the only same cover we're going to have in the top 10.
Yeah,
because
that's it.
I had West Chapel Hill volleyball in the honorable mention. You do have that in the top.
That's right.
10,
That's
yeah.
right.
Okay.
And I wonder, for me, the back half of this list is a lot of losses.
Oh, wow.
Whereas the front half is not.
Okay. So number 8 for you.
Number 8 for me. So I'm going back to East Carteret baseball in 2016, and here's my lead. The East Carteret baseball team lost 4-3 at Whiteville on Tuesday to go down a game in a series of 3 with the Wolfpack in the East Regional Final of the 1A state playoffs. Ethan Link scored off a wild pitch to tie it up 3-3 in the top of the 5th inning, but in the bottom of the frame, Whiteville's Mackenzie Gore, who is another pro
in the Major League Baseball pitcher,
came across on a Connor Granger double to put the Wolfpack up for good. This is not the elimination game. The elimination game was the following game at East Carteret, where we had one of the biggest baseball crowds in recent memory. I mean, probably not since the 96 crowd.
Yeah, the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s crowd.
Yeah.
But this game was just, you were right there. You were right there on the brink. But also, this game has special meaning for me because it was 2016. My wife and I had 2 kids, a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old. And at that point in our lives, we had this big Suburban. And whenever I had a road playoff game, we would all pile up in this Suburban, and they'd come with me. And they would just kind of sit, air conditioning on or back door open, depending on what time of year it was. And they would just kind of hang out until I was done.
Oh,
very sweet. And I still think about this playoff run where we went to Perkimmons, we went to Spring Creek, and then here to Whiteville. But
plus the rain. How long was the rain delay?
No, that's not this game.
Baseball.
I know.
Oh, wait, you said East Whiteville.
Be patient. That's but you're right. East Carteret versus Whiteville is a thing.
Yeah.
No,
right.
this was.
Well, also this is probably the first big time baseball playoff game you'd ever covered.
I mean, I don't think I ever covered another one. This is it.
That's it.
This is it.
As far as really,
I've never.
deep,
I mean,
you probably even never covered a third.
This is 2016. Has there ever been one since?
You might not have even covered a 4th round.
It's been 9 years. Has there been another one?
Yeah, Croatan's made the 4th a couple times, but you might.
That was right when I started
Yeah.
with the Nick Touchton and the Cranmer.
Shoot, I
and
went
the
to South Granville for one of those.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I don't think in the 9 years since that anyone's done this.
You've covered a deep,
or that the county has done it.
That is the only regional final. You're
Yeah.
right. In my 18 and a half years.
Yeah.
that's the
So
only
this
regional final appearance.
this is the top of
Yeah.
the heap here. And I mean they had again I mentioned Ethan Link, Brennan Lewis was a great player on this team.
Right.
There were lots of big names that had a big impact. Jason Salter was the head coach, and it just didn't pan out. But right there, 4-3 against a future pro and a very good Whiteville team.
To take up for the Mariners, not a lot of people beats Whiteville in baseball.
No.
They had a stretch there. They won like 3-5 or something like that. 4-6. I don't know. It was a lot.
They end up losing 4-1 in the second game of the series at East Carteret. Not as close. This one was, if you win that series and you get to go home for game 2, boy, different feeling.
All right, my number, what are we on here? 8? My number 8. As the some of these are so...
Don't. You got to do it.
Some of these are so hokey. As the referee reached to raise the arm of the wrestler in the final match Saturday night, fans from one side of the Croatan High School gym rushed the mat in a euphoric frenzy. The mass of people screamed and jumped for joy, engaging in hugs with coaches and wrestlers as the opposing team and his fans watched in stunned disbelief. 2013.
Okay.
The Croatan wrestling team and his fans, unfortunately, found themselves on the wrong end of this scene following the 2A dual state championship, with the Cougars losing 31-30 in heartbreaking fashion to Newton Conover. The state title match finished not with a bang, but with a whimper for Croatan, as it forfeited the final bout of the evening at 182 pounds. The Cougars had placed all their eggs in the basket of 170-pound Andrew Colburn, who was 53-6, by the way.
What a great wrestler.
In the previous match. He earned a 9-2 decision over the Red Devils' Austin Minor, but needed a major decision, meaning he needed to win by 8 points instead of the 7 that he won by. If he would have won that by the major decision by 8 points,
would have gone to a tie
31-31. And
who would have won the sudden death?
Croatan would have won on criteria. So I'll never forget that. Old Rich Levy, our old pal Rich Levy
Thailand News.
of the Thailand News, who was the sports editor of the Thailand News for 30 years, I think, almost. He covered Swansboro for Thailand, but also part of the beat for Thailand was cover Croatan. So we were there together. It was a Saturday evening. And again, the dual state finals was either East or West. They flipped it every year. So Croatan hosted those two. There's two I hosted. I covered the Piedmont one I had in my honorable mention, and this one. Now the reason that the Piedmont win is in my honorable mention and the Newton Conover loss is in my top 10.
It's a heartbreaker.
Is because that's the second to the last match, Andrew Colburn. And we have no idea what the strategy is of the coaches. We don't know what's coming. And so, okay, now it's coming down.
You just know they started at 195 or whatever.
So it's coming down to the final match, and Andrew Colburn's match ends, and the referee looks at David Perry, soon to be Hall of Fame coach and everything. He's going to be in the NCHSA. He's going to be in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. And David shakes his head no and crosses his arms.
They have nobody.
And me and Rich Levy turned to look at each other, and we're like, our mouths just dropped. They have forfeited the final match. It's over. They've lost.
Which, and for those that might not understand, was 11, at that point there were 11 or 14 weight classes?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, so, and I think now there's one more or two more, but they don't always have somebody in that slot who can compete with the opposing team. Maybe the other guy is 58-0 or whatever.
Well, I think they had bumped Andrew up.
They moved, but I'm saying if he was 170,
actually,
wrestling at 182.
Actually, they decided to keep him at he was instead of bumping him up because he was number one in the state at 170.
Yeah.
And the guy he was going up against was a kid who wasn't. I think he was.
And you could throw somebody else out there.
Yeah, I don't think he had a great record. And if he'd have gone up to 182, it was a really good guy.
And he just had nobody.
That's how they lost. And I've never been more shocked in my life.
So at that point, they were up 30-25, and then
he won by 7.
And then they get no. I mean, when the final met, because they didn't have anybody at 182.
Oh, right, because you're 6. You're right.
So Crotan's up 30-25, 6 points, done.
That's it. Unbelievable. Me and Rich were just gobsmacked. And of course, then you talk to David Perry and the other coaches.
I'm so curious. Like, I wish that the celebration of Colburn's win was on film, so you could see if it was muted. Where it's like, you won, but we lost.
And hey, man, kudos to that kid from Newton Conover. The rest of his life, he's going to be able to tell people, I'm the reason we won a state championship because I didn't lose by as much as I could have.
Hey.
He stayed off his back. Andrew almost had him a couple
times.
What
a lesson in sports.
Stayed off his back. How about that one? How about that one, boys and girls?
I've never heard of this game, so this was great.
Yeah, had you even started?
No, I started 13, November 13. So.
All right, number 7 for you, Zachariah.
You were still a young man.
You were just a pup.
So my next one, number 7.
Yes, you're right.
For the first hour of the match on Tuesday, everything seemed to go the way of West Carteret volleyball. The gym was deafening. The passing was imperfect but effective. The serve-receive was still intact. The momentum was on the Patriots' side with a 2-0 set lead. The 3A East Regional Final was just around the corner. Then suddenly a switch turned on, and Chapel Hill took over to capture the final 3 sets and exited with a 3-2 win.
And the look that me and Rich Levy gave each other was not as dramatic or
Well,
stark the look that me and you gave each other that night, because we were both there.
We were both there, and I mean,
we looked at each other
probably
at some
gave each
point.
other the look midway through that third set.
We're like,
Oh, it's done. It's done.
Like Uncle Mo.
I've never seen, you say you can feel momentum shifts. It was like the flag, in a Castaway blowing to the left, suddenly blowing to the right.
Whip to the other side.
I mean, it wasn't that West Carteret gave up by any means.
No.
They had a Division I athlete, Grace Tulovich, and an incredible cast
maybe
around
the greatest
her.
volleyball player in Carteret County history.
Easily.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter.
It was one of those things where, just like when you're watching a game on TV, you're like, there's literally nothing this
You
team,
ever have mornings where you just keep dropping things?
there's nothing this team can do.
There's nothing they can do.
It's gone.
And look, I don't want to. This is not a part of it, because sports is sports, and it doesn't matter how much money you have.
Oh, wow.
But I'm going to say it.
It was interesting.
When I watched this team roll up in a
Chartered.
Mercedes chartered bus, and they all get off with their matching monogrammed Nike book bags, I said,
Chapel Hill money, yo.
I said, this is not going to go well.
And we should note that Serge Zwicker, North Carolina Tar Heel center of the past, his daughter was on that team.
Oh, gosh.
Eric Montross's daughter was on that team. Those girls were like 6'4", 6'3", I think. That was a night, man.
I mean, the Patriots were 22-2. They advanced further than any team since the program's 1988 state championship team, and you just felt like you felt like you were. I don't want to be insulting. It felt helpless.
Yeah, like there's literally
hands tied.
Nothing can happen to turn this around.
It's over.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the score sheet in front of me. I can imagine it wasn't back and forth.
You think it was more one-sided?
Oh man,
yeah.
it was done.
God bless.
What a game.
What a tough loss.
Is that my last? I hope that's my last loss on here. I'm tired of talking about these losses.
I know, it's so depressing.
Oh gosh. All right, go ahead.
All right, number
7.
What is this? Is this number 7 for me?
Yeah.
Okay. I love how dramatic these are.
No, I only have one more loss.
Okay. As the game's final pass hung in the night sky Friday, so did the hopes of a once downtrodden football team and its long-suffering fans. God, I'm so glad we're reading these. And when that pass was batted down in the end zone, hopes turned to reality as West Carteret players and coaches stormed the field, and bleachers packed with Patriot faithful erupted into joyous celebration. West had continued
What is this game?
its history-making season versus Nash Central in the first round of the 3AA state football playoffs with a dramatic 20-13 victory to earn the first home playoff win in the school's 47 years.
What year is this?
This is 2012.
I'm gonna say I don't think they got another home playoff game that they won until a few years ago.
This year's squad became the first West team to earn 9 wins in a season, and also won just the second playoff game in school history.
Oh, this is the John Lancaster
the
year.
previous playoff win came.
Is this the year
2003 on
they
the road.
beat Havelock?
I think that is the year they beat Havelock.
What a crew.
That might be showing up on somebody's list later on.
Oh.
So this is a season, and this. So I'm on the job
2 years.
5 years,
You said 12 or 9?
12.
Oh, I thought we said 9. I apologize.
and I have not covered a lot of good football in that time. Carteret County football was not because I missed the Donnie Key for years.
Sure.
I started the year after he
Well,
left.
and 20-14 is not high flying, scoring around every corner. This is gutsy football.
Well, this 2013 was the final.
Oh, 2013. Okay,
Yeah.
well, still.
But so I'm 5 years in. I've not covered a lot of amazing football in Carteret County, and this team wins 9 games. I was in John Lancaster's office from about the 7th to 8th game on every Thursday. Back when we used to have 3 issues.
Sure.
And saying, "Give me a feature story." I wrote feature stories on the offensive
You were hungry.
line. I wrote a feature story on Thunder and Lightning, John Papillon and Michael Johnson.
Oh my gosh.
And back when we were at the old building on Bridges Street, my cubicle had, we all had our cubicles all decorated and stuff. A photo I had was one that Dylan Ray, photographer of the News Times, had taken, and it was the crowd on the field, and you could see me in the background, just my head above people because I'm tall. And just every time I would sit in my cubicle, I would look at that photo and remember that night of the crowd storming the field because they had won a playoff game at West Carteret High School in football.
And it's hard because, you might look on paper and say, oh, big deal. But, I mean,
Dude.
when you're there and you know what it means to that school,
Dude.
it's everything.
The second round game, they went to Wilson. They had a police escort out of the county. That's how excited the county was about football being good in Carteret County. a police escort. That tickled Dennis Thomason, old sports editor at the News Times, so much that he said if Southwest Onslow's football coach, who has since passed away, like our beloved Dennis Thomason, and whose name I can't remember right now, the Southwest Onslow football coach, because I'm old and I can't remember stuff. He said if he saw them giving them a police escort out of the county for a second-round game, he would roll his eyes.
Well, again, there's that perspective again. You might look at that on paper and go, big deal.
Right. But
for us, it was everything.
Phil Paget.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Paget. Yeah. But, man, those.
I wonder if our buddies Jerry Cooper, Big John Black were on that offensive line.
Maybe
John Black is after.
I think those were both after, maybe.
Well, Jerry Cooper graduated in 2014, so he might have been on that.
Man, what a night.
What a night.
What a night in Morehead City. All right, number 6, Zachariah.
Okay, number 6. Let me pull this up here. Okay, this is finally a win. Thank goodness. A good game. One of the best games. Well, that's what we're doing here. That's what we're here for, isn't it? The best high school basketball ticket around on Tuesday. Gosh, a lot of these are on Tuesday. Was at Swansboro. No, it wasn't the 3A Coastal Conference Showdown boys game either, because that game was the boys game following this game was to win the conference. For the fans who showed up early for the pair of varsity clashes, the girls game featured every high and low a basketball game could offer. West came out the winner, beating the Bucks 48-46 in a triple overtime thriller that won't soon be forgotten by players or coaches. So this is. Have you ever covered a triple overtime game?
I have not.
It's very interesting.
I don't even know if I've covered a double overtime game.
Oh, I've covered several double overtime games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now soccer. That's double.
Yeah. That's
so. I mean, shootout. If you've been to a shootout, you've covered a double
basketball,
overtime.
I don't.
How many soccer shootouts have you covered?
Oh gosh, but not very many.
I think I covered 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 48-46, West over Swansboro.
Not an offensive masterpiece.
No, it was not.
Triple overtime. They didn't hit 50.
But it was one of those games where it was just a regular game.
Right.
I mean, it's the end of the regular season, but it's not. You're not expecting a huge matchup.
Right.
It's not like a Croatan West end of the conference.
Throwing haymakers.
And it just didn't stop.
Nobody could win it.
No. And if you've ever I'll tell you what it's like to cover a triple overtime game. The first overtime, fans are excited.
Right.
They're very happy. Second overtime, they're ecstatic. They can't believe they're getting this treat.
We're watching something special.
Third overtime, they're all looking at their watches like, let's move this along, ladies.
It's going to be a late night if we're going to watch this boys game.
I mean, the boys had moved out to the tunnel. I think at some point they just went back into the locker room because, you want to cheer your fellow teammates on, your fellow classmates on, but. Same time.
At this point, the boys had forgot what the coaches had told them.
100%. Like let's get back in there and re-engage here.
Right.
No, I mean,
triple OT.
Triple OT. It does not get much better than that. I mean, the gym was packed because again, the boys' game was supposed to be this big game. Which no disrespect to the ladies, that's what it was. And the Patriots did took another step forward. What they didn't win it. I guess that the boys' game was deciding. But the girls' game, they must have had another game Thursday or Friday.
Decide who was going to.
Yeah, it just said they took another step forward. And you know what? What year is this?
Is this a West Conference Championship?
This is 2022? Okay, so just briefly, let me mention the next game. Okay. This is one of my favorite memories.
Okay. Oh, right.
So it says here, the Patriot girls took another step forward in the race for their first outright conference championship since 96-97.
Wow.
The following game is
Friday
at
night.
West Carteret. I don't know who they played.
It's Friday night, right?
I think it was. It was senior night.
Like Richlands or something.
Some kind of whatever. And I believe so that was the thing. It was that White Oak was playing Swansboro, I believe. And in order to prevent the tie, White Oak needed to beat Swansboro.
Which was not.
White Oak was like 1-8 at that. Yeah, 1-7. It was not a good team. And they beat Swansboro. And I see on Twitter.
Right.
And there's a couple girls on the team, Ella Graham.
And you're out the hallway.
Yep, we're on the wing of the court, and the seniors are being recognized. And I stupidly go over to the girls and say, "Y'all, look! I can't believe this. White Oak beat Swan." And they start freaking out, and everyone in the crowd, huge crowd, is looking over. I'm like, "Stop! My first foray with teenage girl. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful." And I asked the coach if I could tell the rest of the girls, and she's gathering them all up in the hall with Lindsay Howell, and in the hallway. And I wish I had videoed it.
I know afterwards you said I didn't record it.
I said, y'all, White Oak has just beat Swansboro. You are the outright conference champions. And, I mean, they exploded.
Lost it.
What a treat for me as a reporter
wow.
to get to relay something like that.
How about that?
Really, really a great memory.
That's pretty good. Okay, this lead isn't that dramatic. Winning 9 games in the regular season was big. Winning a conference championship was even bigger.
Ooh.
But Friday night was the biggest yet. The Croatan football team continued a historic season with its first ever state playoff victory in a wild 41-35 thriller versus Green Central. They accomplished 3 firsts in school history with a triumph. They defeated a state-ranked team, they defeated a team with double-digit wins, and they reached double-digit wins in a season.
I'll tell you in a second.
This is maybe the best football game I've ever covered. I said that West Ridgelands game might have been, but this was
This was on the road, right?
This was at Green Central.
And Croatan brought a crowd, which they were not known for at that time.
And that was the ground and pound Croatan.
Oh, my gosh.
With the
power.
offensive line that was everybody weighed like 260, 270, it felt like. Sam Ney.
Eli Sharp.
Ethan Bridges.
Yep.
Stevie Sharp.
Thank you.
Man, and what happened that night was they would go on 12 to 14 play drives.
Gosh. Sucking the time off the
Taking
clock.
like a whole quarter off. Green Central would get the ball and score in 2 plays.
Of course.
And it went like that all night
wearing them
long.
Down.
It was unbelievable. Green Central had this quarterback. Let's see if I can find him, who was just fantastic.
Which, as a reporter, is lovely.
Green Central was number 6 in the NC Prep 2A poll, so they were playing a really good team. Alan Wooten, who was the Green Central coach then.
Wow.
Sam Ney ran for 262 on 41 carries.
Is Sam Ney the best running back you've ever covered?
4 touchdowns. Ethan Bridges ran for 114 on 22 carries.
2 running backs with more than 100, more than
Shout
200.
out Stevie Sharp, Logan Bird, Don Ray Brown, Noah Plisco, Mike Wood, tight ends Duncan Nelson and Dylan Cooper, and fullbacks Robert Brenneman and Ethan Bridges paved the way to 377 rushing yards
in a playoff game
on 68 carries.
You talk about grinding down.
Man.
Unbelievable.
That was quite a game, and I cannot find the quarterback for Trey Wade was the quarterback for Green Central. He was fantastic, and they held him pretty good in check. He ran for 86. He threw for 76. It was the only one other time that year had he been held below 100 yards passing in a game. He was electric. He was absolutely unbelievable, and it just went back and forth all night. It was a wild game. Here's the scoring. Green Central, Croatan, Green Central, Croatan, 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 Green Central, Croatan, Green Central, Croatan, Green Central.
Wow.
It was a wild one.
I miss Sam Ney. Heck of a player.
That was a fun.
That whole
that was a fun team to cover.
Well, it wasn't fun to shoot.
No, not fun to take photos of.
I mean, just a pile of dust in the middle of the field.
Yeah, nobody.
Old school Leatherhead style
nobody
football.
came to your side of the field.
No.
All right,
well, I said something while you were talking because it was you said state playoffs.
Yeah, that was first. That was
right. But
first first playoff win ever.
My next one is very similar, but it's state title.
Number 5.
The Croatan girls lacrosse team pulled off a lot of firsts Saturday with its 10-7 win over Bishop McGinnis.
I didn't think this one was going to make the cut.
Well, listen, and I'll tell you why it almost didn't in a second.
Okay.
The Cougars became the school's first lacrosse team to win the first county team to win a state championship. They became the first 3A school ever in the state to win a girls' state title, and the first winners of the inaugural 1A, 2A, 3A state championship. Not bad for a program that had only played 3 full seasons at that point.
Wow.
So here's why.
Because the very first one got knocked out.
It did.
By the pandemic.
Here's the reason why it almost didn't make the list. It's a state title win, first off. Amazing.
Right.
Incredible.
You're at
but a lot of these
Durham
games,
County Stadium.
That's right. So, with a hospital in the background. I don't know.
Yeah,
weird
place.
Weird place. Anyway, cool stadium. I enjoyed that there was plenty of parking. I appreciated that. Our buddy Chris Miller from JDN was there. So it was cool to have, they made me wear this little plastic bib to go onto the field.
Made you look official.
Yeah. The reason why I didn't, and I just got back from Disney, so that was fun.
You were feeling good?
Yeah. In fact, I got a story about that in just a second. The reason why it almost didn't make the list is because it was inevitable.
You were so confident. I was so nervous.
I was confident before the first round ever started.
I was so nervous
that this team was the state champion. It was done. we had seen them dominate in ways that and you can look on paper the teams they're going to face.
No game was close.
This Bishop McGinnis was the only team on paper that had a shot. And I mean, I think their third or fourth round team opponent was a team they had blasted by 10 goals in the regular season. The issue is that they had separated. They finally, after 10 years, had separated the 4A teams from the 1A, 2A, 3A. And the reason they did that is to give. I mean, at that point, only 4A teams had won.
4A teams had won.
Yeah, right. So it was a chance to give some other teams a chance to win. And I mean, I just, from the moment the game started, it was fun. It was back and forth a little bit, but no, I mean, no drama to me. Yeah. It was in the bag. That was a fun game because that was my last summer getting my bachelor's degree. And
you were going to school online.
I was going to school online.
East Carolina.
And we were scheduled to go. We started going to Disney in 2021, and we were going back in 2022. And I found out that I had a class that was starting the week, and I was going to miss this game.
Oh.
I wasn't going to be able to cover it. Oh. And the parents were disappointed. I was disappointed. You were going to have to go.
You had been covering them.
Yeah, it was my. This was my cover, and I had to bump my trip up a week with 2 days warning. I mean, instead of leaving in 9 days, we were leaving in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
And I had just gotten back, and I got a chance to cover these guys.
Because I did cover a couple of playoff games. That's right.
That's right. Yeah,
but you had covered them for most of the season.
Yeah. Right. And it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of good personal memories tied up into this game, and it was a great group. Well,
that's a perfect segue because my number 5 is also a Croatan state championship. We should say Croatan's been winning a lot of state championships.
Well, that's what they do.
Of late. Paul Slater told his team at halftime of the 2A state final, quote, "The goals will come," unquote. He was right. They did, ellipses, finally. After peppering the goal in the second half, following an offensive onslaught in the first that resulted in just one goal, the Cougars scored 3 times in overtime to beat High Britain 4-1 on Friday and earned the first state soccer championship in county history. And the girls lacrosse team had just won the first lacrosse championship in county history.
Yeah, you're right.
So these are a lot of firsts.
Now, wait a second. Oh, yeah, I see on my list. But my championship came after yours.
Okay. They go 18-0.
Yeah.
That was also the weird COVID
This
year.
was spring 2021.
2021.
Yeah, this was spring 2022.
Okay. They won 3 times in the playoffs. They won in overtime. It was the Carteret Cats or Carteret Cougars.
Oh, this was on the road. They were the
on the road.
Oh, yes.
That's the only time I covered them in the playoffs was in the state championship.
That's right.
They beat James Keenan 4-3 in the second round. That was in overtime. They beat First Flight 3-1 in the third. They also handed High Britain their first loss. They were 18-0, so that was 18-1. And 4-1, it doesn't sound like an exciting game, but a state championship game that goes to overtime. And again, players are on the field playing soccer in mask.
So I had covered them most of the regular season. And for those listening, we don't. Sometimes it can just kind of flip. And you may end up covering the first round.
For your 12 and a half years at the paper, you have lived on the western side of the county.
That's right. So I ended up covering Croatan a lot.
You were Croatan.
Although the first few years, I was a lot of East as well.
Really? So, and I was East, and then we kind of split up West Carteret.
That's right.
Just for gas. But
I think it just was you ended up covering the first round, and then it was you know what? Why don't you just stick with them? And I'll cover whoever I was covering.
I got you.
And your team went all the way.
Well, they were on and I was writing up road games the whole playoffs.
Sure.
I was getting up Paul Slater coming back from Kill Devil Hills.
I was going to say, you didn't go to some of these.
No, Paul Slater getting up, coming back from James Keenan, wherever James Keenan is. I can't recall it. Duplin County, I don't know where.
Yeah.
And just calling me after these games at late at night on the road, man, telling us he went to overtime and giving me the stats over the phone and just how.
I remember going to a practice and talking to him about the state championship game before it happened. I mean, he was, confident, but also state championship, man. This is.
3 overtime wins.
Uncharted waters for this county.
3 overtime wins in the playoffs.
Unreal.
And this is the team of Danny Metcalf, Travis Garner-McGraw,
Eli Simonette.
Alex Amato.
Well, a lot of these kids were the
Gavin
same.
Bupre.
A lot of these kids was the same group. The
shootout
lost
Lee County.
Fall.
They brought back a lot. Yeah. All right, Zachariah, number 4. We're getting down to the top 4.
Another fun win. We're back at Croatan. This is my last one at Croatan.
Okay.
I wonder, do you have any more?
Oh, Croatan?
Yeah.
Let me see. Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, there you go. Croatan. All right, let's pull this up here. Apologies for the delay.
Of your top 4, how many are losses?
1.
Oh, same for me.
Yeah,
just one.
And it was. It was a fun one.
Here were my
same school for us.
Here were my tiebreakers. Number 1, it had to be just a good game. Of course, you're not going to remember a bad game. Number 2, something had to be on the line.
100%.
A conference championship, a regional championship, a state championship. And number 3, did the local team win?
Yep.
Those were my tiebreakers. Like if one game was against another, did it have all 3 of those?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
That's the tiebreaker.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a good criteria. All right. The Cougars made program history during a cold night on the Gridiron Friday, beating Carteret County 24-21 in overtime.
Oh, wow.
For the school's first ever home playoff victory. Sounds very much like your Southern Nash game.
Uh-huh.
Croatan.
Nash Central.
Oh, Nash Central. Okay.
Yeah.
Nash, somebody. Croatan made the defensive stand of the year, stopping the Knights on a gutsy 4th-and-1 call that sent Jaden Calloway diving over the line of scrimmage for a chance at the
That was
win.
a little controversial, right?
It was. The runner fumbled the ball, but only after reaching out in an attempt to get over the goal. So this is 4th-and-1 on the goal line.
Oh, my gosh.
It doesn't get any...
That's a movie.
It's a movie.
Remember the Titans.
He reaches his hands over the goal line, fumbles. There was a scramble by both teams to get a call from the officials who needed a few extra seconds of deliberation before deeming it a turnover on downs. That doesn't necessarily end the game. It goes into overtime. The Cougars win the toss. They go down the field and they kick a field goal. Unbelievable. The best football game I've ever covered.
And who's on that Croatan team?
Let's see. I'm trying to. Yeah, David Wallace, who
Okay.
ended up going to the Patriots.
New England Patriots.
Unreal.
Not West Carteret Patriots.
Let's see here.
Tommy Clark, is he on that team?
No, he was the ball boy at that point.
Tommy Clark.
Yeah, this is post.
The ball boy.
Yeah, well, he
Assistant coach.
wanted to be. No, he's listed as ball boy on here.
Oh, really?
He wanted to be around that team as much as he could. I'm trying to remember who David Wallace was the field goal kicker.
Oh, okay.
That was the big one
Gosh,
here.
he did everything.
He did. We're talking about Lewis Reddick. We're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Major Hawkins.
Okay.
We're talking about Sean Stage, Andrew Mendelia. A few of these guys here. Looks like Lewis Reddick. No, this is somebody else. Anyway, a great program. It was just one of those, overtime wins in football on a field goal. That 4th-and-1 stop. It was just everything that Croatan football is known for. And it was it was a lot of fun.
All right. So what was this? My number 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Those who witnessed last year's epic 1A state championship game between East Carteret and Winston-Salem Prep probably figured they would never see another game as thrilling as that one. They were wrong. The same 2 teams put on an unforgettable performance Saturday at Carmichael Arena in Chapel Hill, and this time it was the Mariners earning a 67-64 win and a large measure of payback in the process. The Mariners, the East number 1 seed, finished the season 28-2. The West number 7 seed Phoenix finished 20-8. That was the rematch. They had played the year before. East had lost. That was the year they were 30.
So this is the win.
This is the win.
At number 4.
At number 4. Yeah, I know.
We're such suckers for emotional endings.
We love the punch in the
glutton
gut,
for
I guess.
punishments.
I know it. It was a good game. It was the culmination of those 4 seniors: Jock Brown, Sam Johnson, Ty Simmons,
Sure,
and
the 4 horsemen,
and Trevor Willis.
That's right.
4 1,000-point scores.
Unbelievable.
I got up with Rick Strunk, who was then the media guy for the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. I said, I know y'all don't keep records on this, but I was like, and he had been there forever. I was like, can you ever recall this? He goes, you're right. We don't keep records. He goes, but I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
So the only team I've seen that happen since is the Swansboro basketball team.
They had 4?
They had 4.
Oh, wow.
Let me double check. I know they had 3 for sure.
Okay.
But I believe they had 4.
How about that?
Yeah.
4 though. I mean, it's amazing when one kid on a team gets 1,000 points.
100%.
To have 4.
Yeah.
What a special. And that was the unfinished business. That was their mantra that year.
Yeah.
Because they had lost the year before.
Oh, it's same team, obviously.
Right. Same team.
Yeah.
Same teams matching up 2 years in a row. And those.
Now, are you going to break down some of the special parts of that matchup, or are you going to wait till?
Well, yeah. I'll hold on to it.
Okay.
I got another game that's similar.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
Number 3.
So I'm flipped on what you've done here.
Okay.
I'm going the other way. I'm going with my loss here.
Okay.
Penalty. Wow, it's the same lead I had for the Lee County Croatan soccer
deja
game.
vu?
Yeah, it's the exact same. Now it's 10 years later.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's the statute of limitations for using the same lead. 10 years. Penalty kicks are a cruel way to end a season. That's what happened to East Carteret on Saturday when it fell 2-1 to the Community School of Davidson in a shootout for the 1A girls soccer
was it
state
2-1?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well,
what
I mean, the score.
The score is 2-1
Okay,
because you
yeah,
get one for the shootout.
Right.
Months of grinding effort were whittled down to 5 shots on goal by each team. Unreal. After 110 minutes of second, third, and fourth chances to seize a state title, both East and Davidson were forced to entrust an entire season's aspirations to 10 shooters and a pair of underclassmen keepers. Davidson won 4-1 in the shootout. So the only shootout goal was scored when that's the first goal of the game. No, this was, listen, that team, when I'm 65, 70 years old, that's the team I'll remember from this job. 12 years. And I can't describe.
I think the previous season they had won like 5 games or something.
Yeah, no, this was a team. They'd only won 9 games, I want to say, in the regular season. 8 games.
Came out of nowhere.
And there's some other games.
I don't think they had even been to the playoffs.
It was not. At this point, how long has Antonio Diaz, the head coach, been head coach of that program?
Probably 5
So
years
still
or
relatively
something.
young in his career.
Yeah.
He's still the coach.
Yeah.
And I had just started roughly 6 months before this game.
Uh-huh.
And we both covered regional finals that year.
That's right.
You covered Croatan at Washington, I believe.
That's correct.
And I covered another game that may end up on this list. And your team lost.
That's right.
My team won.
That's right.
And I called our dear editor, Dennis Thomason, and I said, look, if you want to give him the state championship because he's more experienced, I totally understand. He said, no, go for it.
What year was the state championship?
2014.
2014. They were 4-5-2 the year before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. In fact, when you go back and look at Max Preps and you try to find the state championship year by record, it's very difficult because it's not a strong record.
Right.
It's like 12-9-1 or something.
That's
just
right.
ridiculous.
Right.
And this was a young team who was playing a charter school, which you've done many columns on.
I used to.
Some of the unfair stuff with charter schools. And they scored the first goal. Couldn't believe it.
Oh, I know it.
Megan Nyberg connects with Lindsay Thayer.
Third
minute of the game.
And you texted me.
And I said, this is it. I'm about to witness greatness.
Would that have been the first state championship win you would have covered, right?
Oh, 100%. I've never covered. Oh, yeah, I've covered the girls. You're right.
That was the first state championship you would have covered.
Well, at this point, it's my 30th game I've covered, 40th game. I've not covered a ton of games at this point.
Oh, you're new.
I started in November, and I didn't really.
You're fresh off the boat?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And
you thought this is how it's going to be the whole time I'm here?
The East Carteret basketball team is there supporting their teammates.
They had lost.
And
well, were they supporting their teammates?
Well, that's another story.
Their classmates.
Here's the thing. The thing I'll remember the most about this game is the keeper, Casey Waller, who, bless her heart, she was a freshman.
Oh my gosh!
And that moment was so tough. I don't think she played again.
I don't think she played soccer again.
And she felt like she had let her team down. She had not.
No.
Okay, she's a freshman.
Right.
Playing private lesson.
Right. Yeah. Charlotte.
Charter.
Charlotte.
Recruiting.
Right.
All that stuff.
Right.
And the way her teammates ran to her.
Had photos of the hugs, right?
They were not worried about their own tears. They rushed to their teammate.
Bless.
It was an incredible moment. Wow. Very sad.
One of the best all-time stories of my time at the paper was talking to Billy Anderson, the basketball coach of the boys basketball team.
Yeah.
And they had just lost, like you said.
Sure.
And a lot of the boys were dating the girls.
Sure, they had some girlfriends on the team, on the field.
And they were up there. I remember you had photos like them in the stands.
Sure, they're there, yeah.
And Billy was, and I think the statute of limitations, I don't think any of these boys will get in trouble. Maybe they got married and I will create some trouble or something, but he was like, they were kind of rooting against him.
Yeah.
Because those boys were so militantly competitive.
Sure.
They didn't want anybody to win a state title.
Well, it was
before
fresh.
They did.
They had just lost a few months prior.
Right.
That was a weird, after covering, I wonder how your state championship games had gone. That was a weird one because the stands were filled with multiple schools.
That was at NC State, right?
It was NC State.
Right.
And only a third of the stands were for our game. The other 2/3 were for the next game.
Okay.
And they were there early.
Yeah.
So it was very strange to be in a stadium where not everyone cares about the game you're covering right now.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Uninterested third party.
Yeah, they're just kind of there. Yeah. Whatever.
All right. My number 3, right?
Yes.
One shot.
One opportunity.
That is what separated East Carteret's truly special season from a historic one Saturday.
Oh, so you're going win followed by loss.
In the 1A state title game at the Dean Smith Center. Point guard Jock Brown's 27-foot shot at the buzzer knocked off the rim, and the Mariners saw their quest for an undefeated record and state championship go unfulfilled. A bigger, deeper, and more experienced Winston-Salem Prep squad handed East its first loss of the season in a thrilling 72-71 contest at Chapel Hill. The Mariners ended the season 31-1. They would have finished as the lone boys team in the state without a loss had they won. The Phoenix captured their third straight state title and fourth in the past 7 years. They have gone 89-6 during this 3-year title run. The reason I have the loss ahead of the win is that was David versus Goliath. Same thing you were just talking about with that.
Well,
that
and
not
just metaphorically.
Yeah, it's Beaufort versus Winston-Salem.
Sure.
They had, I think, if you take not just that senior class from Winston-Salem Prep, but the entire roster, I think there was like 4 kids that went Division I from that team.
Tall kids.
1A basketball. 4 went Division I. Have you and I covered 4 Division I basketball players in our entire time
Probably
at the News
not.
Times?
Probably not. Maybe 3.
Jackson
Bam
Ellingsworth,
Bam.
Jock Brown, who played 1 year at Wilmington. Jackson Ellingsworth now at UT Arlington. Is there any local?
Bam Bam.
Well, I'm talking about county.
Oh, no.
That's it.
No, that's it.
We've covered 2. They had 4 on one team. They're a 1A team. Wow. The one kid, he won his 3rd state MVP for them. He went to Georgia Southern with another kid, and they were both the kid that won the MVP was actually really good at Georgia Southern. He was like a starter, I think, for like all 4 years, and his name is escaping me. I'm looking for it in the game story. The game the next year was a good game. It wasn't as good as this one. East was out of it. 3rd quarter, it felt like they were going to lose. They're the Mighty Mouse team.
Right.
Everybody's 5'10" and under. The center for Winston-Salem Prep was 6'7".
Well, there's the classic wonderful photo by Dylan Ray where he got down on the ground and you see the silhouette of the East player between the legs of the Winston-Salem kid.
I think the center for Winston-Salem Prep was 6'7", and then in the 3rd quarter, they just started hitting 3-pointers with East Carteret, and it's boom.
Little Steph Curry's.
Boom, and it's Sam Johnson, Ty. I mean, and that was that year where the crowd that followed them to Fayetteville for the regionals and to Chapel Hill was just gigantic. Everywhere you went, the other reporters were like, "Do they travel like this all the time?" And you're like, "This year they do." They were undefeated.
There's no question, even now, which school has the best fan base.
That was a trap. Well, you know what's funny is you looked in the crowd and there's Craig McClanahan and Robert Lancaster. It was West Carteret people. The whole county was like, it was just these little kids, 5'10", 5'9", that
homegrown.
And they just played like with their hair was on fire. It was full court press. It was 3-pointers. They were so fun to root for. So fun.
This wasn't a team of transfers.
As you said, it wasn't Bam Bam Adebayo, who was 6'10", 220, and was going to play at Kentucky. It was kids.
Nor was it a team of transfers or people who had. These are kids that grew up here.
Yeah.
We watched them.
And they come back. They almost and Jock Brown had the practice before had fell on his head. Probably had a concussion in retrospect. Did not play like Jock Brown in the state final. I think he had like 12 points and 5 rebounds, which for him was not a good night. And they just Winston-Salem Prep's down 1. They come down and they shoot it. And it comes off the backboard, doesn't hit the rim, comes straight off the backboard off the left side and comes straight down to this kid from Winston-Salem Prep. If it had hit the rim, they'd have lost the game. I think that was with like 1.1 seconds or something, 1.3. I don't remember what the time was. And it comes down right to this kid. He grabs it, takes it right back up, puts it in. Again, if it hits the rim, the game's over. East Carteret wins. So now there's like 1.1 on the clock or something. They throw it to Jock at half court. In one motion, he grabs, turns, and throws.
I mean, as good as you can do it.
And it rims out from like half court.
Can you close your eyes and still see it?
I can. I was sitting right there. I can picture it. It rims out. It was just an amazing. The game the next year was good. It was not as good as that game. Plus, Winston-Salem Prep wasn't as good as that team with all those teams that went to all those players that went Division I and having the kid who was, Division I.
Which doesn't take away from that win.
Hughes was his name.
Gotcha.
3-time state final MVP. East Carteret would have been the first 1A team to win a state championship undefeated in 23 years. God, Pantego had last done it in 1981. So people kind of started making fun of me that year for being an East Carteret homer. Which this is, what year is this? This is
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
I've been here at the paper 7 years at that point.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
had accused me of being an East Carteret homer.
Mickey
Mickey Mariner,
Mariner.
somebody calls me in the county. But it was a boys basketball
You know
team.
who you are.
It was a revenue sport.
Listen,
And they were undefeated.
you're an East grad.
Well, I could have been West Carteret. It could have been Croatoan. I would not cared.
It
It was amazing.
It was everything
Again,
that went into
the
it.
makeup of the team.
That's it. That's
yeah,
it.
It was
the
phenomenal.
circumstances.
That easily is in the running for number one for me, really.
I mean, honestly, that team and that state championship run over the course of a few years might be a top 3 sports thing of this county in the history of this county.
They had a parade for them on Front Street.
I remember.
Even though they lost.
Oh,
Because the Carteret County was just so crazed about this team. Yeah.
it takes you back to those. I go back and look at these old newspapers from the 1960s and the 50s, and that's what it was like then.
Uh-huh.
Where they threw these massive parades, huge celebrations for these kids. It's great to see that.
Mike Hughes was his name. He went to Georgia Southern and had a really good career at Georgia Southern.
Wow.
Division I. All right, Mr. Nally.
Let me ask you this: your last 2, are there any losses?
No, that's the only
That's
loss.
the last loss.
Matter of fact, that's the only loss in my top 7.
Okay, for me,
Mine are top heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. So this is good news from now here on out.
Yeah.
Well, mine's a little poignant.
Oh.
Cutting down the nets never felt so good. West Carteret snapped a 33-year hiatus without a conference championship Friday with a 51-50 victory over Northside Jacksonville in front of an 800-strong crowd. Deshaun Jones intercepted a throw-in with 2 seconds on the game clock to help the Patriots capture the 3A Coastal title and the top seed in the upcoming state playoffs. For head coach Craig McClanahan, the moment was all too sweet, a cherry on top of a 22-year head coaching career with the program. So there's a couple things here. The shot by Deshaun Jones was incredible. Jones.
And kudos to you. You had a fantastic photo of that, I remember.
Yes.
It's like coming off his face.
No, and the kids are in the background like.
And that's a really hard shot to get.
It is.
Because if somebody's shooting from the outside,
It is.
you're usually under the basket.
100%.
And there's 100 people in front
I
of
just
you.
happened to be lucky. Oh, I was
I think
waiting
you
for.
went up in the stands, I think.
No. So I was on the corner near the
okay,
bench
that
because I'm
helps.
waiting for the court rush.
You were going to get the celebration.
I wanted the kids in the background, and
Yeah,
I just got
right.
lucky.
Oh man, I mean it's right off the tip of his finger.
But there's a couple things here. Not only
what a great athlete. Oh my gosh.
For me as a reporter, maybe top 3, top 4, top 5
Football
of all
and
time.
basketball.
You rarely see.
Yeah,
He was very good.
very good.
A good kid.
Yeah,
Just
and this is the first championship for West Carteret boys basketball
in
how long?
33 years.
33 years.
You walked in the gym that night and they had decorated. I don't know. For those who haven't been to West Carteret, it's like a dungeon in the hallways.
What year is this?
Around the gym, huh?
What year is this?
This is come on here. Let's see, 2019.
Okay.
And they had put the students from the day had from the school day had wrapped ribbons around the pipes because there's a bunch of exposed pipes. They had decorated the hallway to all get out. I mean, they had made this place look. And I remember Bubba Taylor walks in and goes, 33 years. I mean, everyone is so psyched.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they can't get enough of this.
33 years.
And as fun as it was to watch these boys, I mean, this was Deshaun. I believe this was JJ Williams as well.
Okay.
Was on this team.
Yeah.
And as fun as it was,
Josh Williams.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Uh-huh.
right. In fact, let me see. I'm gonna look at the box score here.
Will Kennan, was he on that team?
Let's see here.
Or was he later?
JJ Williams, Deshaun Jones, Gavin Gillikin, Stephen Barr, Jay Jones, Jamani. No.
Oh yeah, they had a number. I think they had like 3. I think that was the 3 Jones.
It
year.
was tough.
Yeah.
And
they had
then
a Kel Jones. They had another Jones.
That's right. And
Yeah.
then Sylvester Wilcox.
Okay.
As fun as it was to watch these boys get to celebrate the win and cut down the nets, I think it was more fun to watch Craig McClanahan and Robert Lancaster, his brother-in-law.
And you had a great photo of them cutting the net.
Yeah, it was just a really, Craig McClanahan,
who has since passed away.
So
that
away.
makes this even more poignant.
I mean,
that
he
memory.
passed away the following year.
Yeah.
I mean, this was,
Gosh.
you talk about putting a capper on your career.
Wow.
The Patriots weren't always a great team.
A 500 or a little bit above most years.
And part of that is the competition and
Tough 3A conferences.
Yeah. And
they were in some 4A splits.
so he already knew he was retiring.
Oh gosh.
And so this was a fun way to say,
That's awesome.
One last little ride here, and to do it with his brother-in-law
Who had been there the whole time.
Yeah, they were side by side the entire career, and you could just tell it meant a lot to both of them.
That's
so
awesome.
that'll stick out to me for a while.
How about that? My number 2 has been my number 1 my entire career until recently.
Oh my God, what's your number 1? So also for those listening, we don't know. We're surprising each other with these games.
We haven't told each other.
No.
The last time the West Carteret football team earned a victory over Havelock,
Oh my God.
the current crop of Patriot players weren't even born. In fact, most of the West players were still in diapers when the Patriots' losing streak to the Rams had reached double digits.
Gosh.
Some of those players were crying like babies Friday night.
Yeah,
oh
they
my
were.
God, that's awful. Young men with driver's licenses and stubble on their chins were shedding tears of joy.
Look, it means something.
They had accomplished something only 2 other teams in the history of West Carteret had accomplished, beating Havelock. For the first time since 1985, and only the second time since 1969, the Patriots defeated their rivals from Havelock, this time in a thrilling, action-packed 34-30 victory. West is currently riding a streak-breaking roll with his win over Havelock. Last week, they broke a 10-game losing streak to West Carteret West Craven in a 38-20 triumph. And that was kind of similar to the Croatan Green Central game. That West Carteret team was pound, 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 run, run, run.
Oh, it was like 2,000 and 1,000, right?
They had
rushing yards for the season.
Yeah,
I
they
believe.
had John Papillon.
Yep, with 2,000.
Who ran for 2,000.
And then
Michael
another.
Johnson
Yep.
ran for 1,000. It was Thunder and Lightning. And Havelock had Garrett Crow, who threw for 340 yards that night. He had 4 receivers. I think he went to – did he go to Carolina? Or was supposed to go to Carolina? I might not have that right. Somebody will be able to correct me on that.
You know they will.
But just a wild game. I don't know if it would have been more special if it was at West Carteret or it made it so special because it was on the road, too. Havelock's a tough place to play, man. That's intimidating.
That is Friday Night Lights for Eastern North Carolina, to me.
They come out of the tunnel. They got the smoke.
It's a very tall
They've got
bleachers.
the lights. Yeah. Let's see.
And they're good.
Yeah. John ran for 231 that night. Michael Johnson ran for 87. Mark Eady was on that team.
Okay, Mark Eady Jr.
He ran for 48. And that was kind of the same thing. Here's the scoring. West, Havelock, West, Havelock, West, Havelock, West, Havelock, West. And John Papillon scored with 50 seconds on the clock.
Is that not the best football game you've covered?
I think the Green Central one was better than this.
Gotcha. It's just more on the line.
But this is just, the history of West Carteret. And this is a regular season game. Nothing's on the line. West didn't win a conference championship because of this. I think Havelock still won the conference championship. I don't know. I don't remember the breakdown of that. But, you haven't beaten this team since 1985, and this is 2012. It had been a minute. That's a phenomenal game. I'll never forget that. And what followed was John Lancaster, who this is that special season, that first season. He was feeling pretty good and said, we punched them in the mouth, and they really didn't know what to do. And the Havelock coach, Jim Bob Bryant, did not take kindly to those words. So over the next about 5 years,
spanked.
And I wrote a column like 5 years later, and the headline was, the worst thing West Carteret football ever did was beat Havelock.
No doubt.
Because they took it out on them like you wouldn't believe for the next 2 to 3, 4 years. It was like 76-12, 69-0.
No holding back.
Oh, my gosh. But what a night.
So is that 2 John Lancaster games on your top 10 list?
Dude, football. You got to have some good football.
And football is great because it's fall and August. You've been gone all summer.
Right.
And it's like, you come, and
it's then these
exciting.
Big crowds are at these games.
Oh, man.
That's been my number 1 the entire time it's been in the paper until recently.
I'm scrambling to think what your number 1 is. It took over 4 hours and 15 minutes for East Carteret to claim its first East Regional Soccer Championship in school history on Tuesday, and a chance to play in the 1A state title game.
Wow.
The girls' team danced and clasped each other with tears of joy under buckets of rain, soaking in the 4-2 overtime win over number 1 seed Whiteville. When I'm old and gray
and barely remember anything,
I'm going to remember this game.
After a torrential downpour.
So here's the way I'm going to break it all down from start to finish here. I was young. I showed up late. I got lost.
You got lost.
This is MapQuest era, folks.
And what
You're printing off your directions.
What month is this?
This is May because it's end of spring.
So it wasn't dark, but I think it was stormy and dark and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, so I pull up and it's 40 minutes after the game would have started.
Right.
I mean, you've missed the first
But you were
half
saved a little bit.
because the game stopped minutes into the match for Lightning.
And,
So-
and it didn't start right back up either.
Oh, I mean, I
It
was
wasn't the
there
30-minute
for
deal.
an hour and a half before it started again.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, lightning everywhere you look.
What time was it when the game ended?
Oh gosh, I wonder if
gotta
I
be-
say it in there. Probably because
It had to be 10 something,
it
right?
was close 10 or 11. Because
Yeah.
I know I didn't get home until
Yeah.
2 or so. I mean, this
Right.
it was a long. Even the drive home was dangerous.
Stormy and lightning,
I mean,
wind.
I was you had your hazards on.
Yeah.
The wipers are on level 3,
Right.
full tilt, and you could barely see anything. And I took the interstate home to Wilmington because I didn't want to go through the back
Oh,
roads.
because Whiteville, you can take a lot of back roads.
You can.
Yeah.
That's how I took it there. When you go by White Lake and all that, and I lost. Again, a team that came out of nowhere.
Right.
Did not
4 wins the
would
year
not have
before.
expected them to be here.
No.
I had just happened to cover them.
And that's your first, is that your first year?
It was my first year.
Wow.
I mean, I'm 6 months into the job, and
And how old are you? 25?
I'm not 25 yet. Wow. I'm 24 years old.
Just a babe.
And I mean, even reading the story, it's not bad. Good job, young Zach.
Is that the night I'm in Little Washington?
Yep.
And I remember it was sunny, beautiful weather.
Yeah. It was different where I was at. So even though the lightning had stopped, it's pouring down rain. You got to play. I mean, there was a moment where there was a question of, are they going to finish this game? Are they going to be able to, this is,
Right.
I mean,
Are we
someone's
gonna
got to
have
win.
Are we going to have to pick it up tomorrow or something?
Sure.
Yeah.
And they said, let's go. Wow. We're going to just make it work. So I'm standing there and I have this weird Hilton brand umbrella. It's very large. It's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet wide. And I'm standing there, and there are strangers who I've never met. They're players. There was I think the ball boy. Everybody is crowded around me, trying to squeeze under this umbrella.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm sitting there, and I've got my camera, and I've got my notepad, and I'm trying to keep track of what's happening. And they score. No one scores in the first overtime, the first 10 minutes. And then in the second 10 minutes, they score twice.
Who was it scored?
Let's see.
Yeah. Was it Lindsay Thayer? Was it Megan
Right,
Nyberg?
no, right. We say again, this is a young reporter who does not have.
Oh, the box score?
Well, but doesn't have who won in the first or who scored those
You don't have
crucial
that
goals in
early
the
on.
first.
You gotta search for it.
All right, let's see here. Bailey Barker, I remember that name.
Yeah, sure.
She gets a goal. Let's see here. Defense couldn't stop. Okay, wasted no time. Leah Burbridge.
Okay, yeah.
Gets a one-on-one against the keeper, and I guess Bailey Barker. No, but she's a defender, so she cleared it away.
Oh, okay.
Is there not a box score, young? Here we go.
Yeah.
Bailey Barker scores in the 37th minute, and then Burbridge, 2 goals in overtime.
Star of the night.
The 84th minute and the 98th minute. What an incredible!
She'll never forget that night.
No, she won't.
Oh, wow. And do I remember this correctly? Wasn't the photo of the team, didn't it have like car lights on the kids?
So yeah, it's dark. Maybe the power had gone out. I don't know.
I think they probably cut it off. And
Yeah. I just remember Antonio Diaz,
And they're all like huddled.
and he's in jeans, and he's in the. At this point, the rain had slowed a little bit, but it didn't matter anymore
It was
about
like
getting
the parking lot. You took that
getting
photo,
wet.
wasn't it?
No, it was
Okay.
it was a weird field.
Okay.
It's not their football field.
Okay.
They have a separate soccer field with a little low fence, and it was just an all-time moment. I mean, I had never seen. I mean, it felt that was my movie moment.
Yeah.
Where they're
Absolutely.
dancing under the rain,
rain.
and no one cared, and I didn't care.
And you all had been there for 4 hours.
Hours and hours, and it was just they're going to a state title game.
East Carteret girls soccer is going to a state title game.
And this was a good Whiteville team they'd beaten. Wow. It was just I'm sorry. Lindsay Thayer does score the first goal off an Avery Barker assist. Okay. Let's not leave her out of this.
Okay.
So
wow.
What a game.
Night.
All right.
Meanwhile,
another drum roll.
Meanwhile, I was covering a loss in a regional final.
I do not know what this game will be.
In a game that Croatan should have won that night.
Oh, they should have. They were They were much better than East.
No, yeah.
Sure, on paper they were a formidable team. This was it was my very first feature story. Who's the girl?
It was Anna Mixon.
No. Her brother was Austin.
Oh yeah. Yeomans, Carly Yeomans.
Yeah, my first feature ever.
Team,
yes. Yeah. All right.
Croatan was the only thing standing in the way of a late Norman Charter state title four-peat Friday at Durham County Memorial Stadium.
Wow.
The Cougars stood tall. and in doing so became the first boys lacrosse team in county history to capture a state championship thanks to a thrilling 13-12 win over the Knights.
You just covered this.
Literally. The Knights hadn't been tested in the 3 previous state finals, beating Orange 16-7, beating Northwood 19-8, and First Flight 19-5. They had a combined 51-15 record in those seasons. Croatan finishes this season 20-12, while the Knights ended up 19-7.
Unreal.
Dane Sparks scores with when did Dane Sparks score?
Who we had a chance to speak to on this podcast while he's
recently,
looking.
20 seconds left. Now, the reason it overtakes West Havelock is because of my 3 things.
On his knees, I think.
Falling down.
Gets
a pass, and he's falling down.
It takes the momentum.
As he gets the pass, he's falling down. And as he's falling down, he whips it into the goal with 20
Unreal.
seconds left. The reason that overtakes West Havelock is my 3 tiebreakers. Was it a great game? Yes.
Yeah.
Was something on the line? West didn't have anything on the line.
The biggest thing on the line.
West had nothing on the line.
State title.
Other than bragging rights versus their rival across the county.
Sure.
And did they win? So West had 2 of those, but it was a regular season game.
No, this checks all the boxes.
All the boxes. It was back and forth.
And it's similar to that East team where you're watching them get better every year.
That's right. Seniors.
That's right.
And it was, and the whole match was Lake Norman Charter Croatan, Lake Norman Charter Croatan, Lake Norman Charter Croatan, back and forth, back and forth. 3 times Croatan got up by 3 goals. 2 times they got up by 3 goals. Both times Lake Norman Charter tied it up, including late in the game. Croatan's up 3. I'm relaxed. I'm like, they've won it. And Lake Norman Charter goes boom, 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 and ties it up. And I'm like, oh my God, if they lose this, this is going to be heartbreaking. This is going to be brutal. And then they score with 20 seconds left. It just had everything. Anything you want. Drama. You win by 1 goal. You win with 20 seconds left. You win a state title. This has been building for 4 years. The whole team's nothing but seniors. George Benson's been the only coach in the history of the program. They brought up a good crowd. It was a decent crowd for that stadium. That overtakes West Havelock. It just, after all these years.
What a fun game.
It overtakes West Havelock.
What's the biggest memory? Like for me, it's Diaz dancing in the jeans in the rain.
Well, it's funny because they celebrated twice. That they cleared the ball with 5 seconds left, not knowing that George Benson has called timeout. They rush the field. Everybody goes crazy. Then the refs have to I run the field to take photos, all the cameramen, and then everybody has to go back because George has called timeout to help clear it, just to be safer.
Sure.
They come back, 5 seconds left. They get the ball. They just chunk it down the field. Now they celebrate again.
Now it's real.
They got to celebrate twice. That was weird and fun, but just the how excited everybody was that night. That they were calling you out that night because we had done a pod about the top 10 things to look forward to in 2025.
And I just said it wasn't the most because
I had it as number 1. They were probably going to win a state title. You had them at number 4.
Yeah,
they were like, tell Zach about number 4. How's that for number 4?
Number 4. Ridiculous.
Just a fun night.
Well, and another thing too, it was unfortunately that was my wife and I's anniversary. I could not go with you. I really wanted to.
Because I asked if you wanted to go with.
And not just that, but as anyone with kids can attest, the kids were being watched by Grandma and Grandpa. We went to sleep that night at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night because it was a chance to.
Yeah, you told me not to text you.
I was like, well, I said, look, I can't text you tonight, and so I wake up at like 11:30 to whatever, and I couldn't. I'm bleary eyed. I'm going to the bathroom and I checked my phone and there it is. I see the score and I text you immediately.
Yeah.
And you said, dude, you cannot believe what that game was.
What I just covered.
And was so glad to get a chance to hear firsthand from George Benson and John Bradley as well as those 3 players
we
who
had
came
2
in.
different pods on that.
Yep.
Well, and that's a perfect segue. You've had a lot of perfect segues in this.
I've been doing this a while.
The reason we've covered big games together, but rarely. I think the Northwood boys and West Carteret boys, we covered that together. We covered the West Chapel Hill volleyball.
Sure.
That might be the only 2 times we've covered the same thing. Maybe, I don't know. But if it's a big thing, you cover it together. So I invited you because it was a big game, and it helps to have 2 photographers. Because especially at the end, it's hard to catch all the.
It is.
You're trying to catch coaches celebrating. You're trying to capture players celebrating. You're trying to capture the crowd. Right. But I also invited you for another reason. There's the perfect segue.
Okay, well, let's not make this weird. Look, I just put my column up on social media a few minutes ago. Life takes different directions, and mine's taking a different one. Week after next, I'm going to take over as the first ever Parks and Recreation Director for the town of Newport. I'm very excited for the chance to get to serve the town that I grew up in. And JJ will tell you, anytime we have a guest on this pod who's from Newport, where are you from in Newport? Where do you live?
You get so excited.
I love Newport.
And you all talk Newport.
And so I will no longer be working for a paper that I've worked for 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years.
When I started, we had no kids. Now we have 2. And
when
one
you started,
is
you were 24?
24 years old. And
now you're headed to 40.
Don't. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, well, listen, I couldn't have done it without this man here who's like a father figure to me.
Oh,
No, this is like a podcast we wanted to do, I think probably 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh my gosh.
But it was middle of the school year. We knew there would be a gap in the summer, and it just so happens that it lines up with getting the chance to look back on some of these favorite memories. Getting to grow up. When I started, I was only a few years removed from the kids I was covering.
Yeah.
And now they're like little children.
Yeah.
And but no matter what, when I was out there with the camera on them, they loomed larger than life. I keep going back to that expression, and it sounds corny, but it's true. It's a stupid high school game, but it wasn't.
It's sports.
But it's not.
The game, does it really matter? In some sense, no. But in some sense, it's gigantic.
It's so big.
Yeah.
It means so much to not just to them,
That's right.
but to everybody that came through.
That's right.
Generations.
Somebody graduated in 69, 70, 71.
It's tradition. It's the
Yeah.
reason we come together. We've gone through
How about
hurricanes.
that photo you took when the West Boys won their first football conference championship?
Sure.
And it was the grandfather in the
Sure,
photo,
he
or the father?
was wearing, it was his granddad. He was wearing his granddad's Letterman jacket from 65.
Was it Garner?
It was Brian Garner.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember his granddad's name.
Was he the last championship?
Yep, 65.
See, stuff like that. Come on.
And road races, fishing tournaments,
Getting
high
to
school
know
games.
people,
I will.
developing relationships with coaches, with ADs, with players.
I had a large amount of coworkers for a long time, and I will remember those relationships for a long time.
right.
And just to be clear, we plan on continuing this podcast as much as we can. JJ and I are good friends. We enjoy doing this, even though I'm not out there on those
fields. This podcast
fields.
would just be me and you talking if it wasn't aired, if it wasn't recorded.
100%. Well, that's what got us started. We were just chatting on the phone, and we thought let's share these sometimes not public views with the public.
So a bittersweet day. It's
a bittersweet day.
Times,
yeah, and it's I will forever be grateful for the chance to have worked here and to serve these readers and to document these kids. And we had a reporter with us for a year and a half, Macy O'Donnell, and somebody that you document these people from the time they're 14 to the time they're 18, and you send them off to college and you see what they can do. Sometimes they come back and it's really powerful.
Yeah, how many coaches do we cover now?
How many kids?
Jonathan B.
Thousands.
Rigsby.
Sure.
Nick Brazelton.
Oh,
you
gosh.
did a story on how many had come back. And
There's so many, and it's because
you see them go from
their experience with these high school programs meant so much that with all the options out there in the world, they wanted to be here.
I can't tell you how many podcasts I've listened to because I'm a journalism junkie, or stories I've read of journalists who are covering NBA or covering the NFL or covering the NHL, MLB, whatever. And they're asked, what are your favorite memories? And they say the most special time was when they were covering prep sports, because there's
something so pure
Friday
about
Night
it.
Lights, that's the word. That is the word.
I mean, there's no money involved.
Right.
Sometimes it's just bragging rights.
Yeah.
There's no, state titles around every corner or whatever.
Right.
It's just a chance to play the game.
That's right. Represent your community, your family.
To carry on this tradition that's been decades, generations in the mix.
And 2 schools now we have that are going on 65, 70 years that have been around.
When I first, there was something special when I first got this job that I remember going home and telling Christina, my wife of 14 years, gosh. Anyway, I had lived here my whole life for the most part.
Right.
I'd waited tables, I'd done other jobs where I got to meet people, but nothing ever made me feel like I was part of a community until I got this job. I feel like Carteret County is in my blood now, and it's going to be, I'm glad I'm not leaving. I'm glad I get a chance to continue to work with kids and with sports and to still be a part of a Carteret News Times family that I would imagine is more than 1,000 strong.
Well, in the 18 and a half years at the News Times, working with you has been one of the best blessings of my time here and us developing our friendship, and you will be missed.